Good evening, guys. It is Sunday night, so I thought I would do another live stream. Now, I did this one a little bit last minute today because, to be honest, I wasn't going to go live. I've been out all day, and to be honest, I haven't felt particularly great today, so I wasn't going to bother. However, we're here because there is a bit to talk about, and I thought there's some stuff we need to cover as well, which is quite interesting. So I thought, rather than miss it, let's go for it. Now, let me just get the chat up just to make sure. Is the audio working? That is my next question. Now, things might look a little bit different today, and the audio could actually be out of sync as well. And I can check it, Mark, if I need to on my side. Not that I'm saying I don't trust you, but yeah, I can hear it. I never trust Mark as far as I can throw him on this stuff. You really can't. He's been hiding from us as well. Where have you been on Tuesday, Mark? Where have you been? The audio may be a little bit out of sync. I haven't tried. And the reason I'm saying that is I've actually changed camera tonight. I've moved over back to the GH5 on this main camera. I've moved the Sony, and I'll explain a little bit about why I've done that, because I got more cameras than I know what to do with at the moment. And I've moved things around a little bit for some good reasons, because there was a compromise I made with the Sony, and it's something I tolerated, but this weekend I've had a little bit of time to play and I've changed it. And the toleration is, on the Sonys, the HDMI output is always 50p. It's never 25. Now, I'm in the UK, so it's not 24. It has to be 25p. I can do 50, but it's unnecessary. And it's adding space to all of the recordings and stuff like that. And I've had some quirky behavior as well. But it was something I tolerated until I thought, right, I'm going back to the GH5 for the main camera, and I've moved to the Sony for the overhead, as you can see here. And the advantage to having the Sony for the overhead, actually, is that it's got really good autofocus. So there is a better benefit for this, you know, although it's still in 50p. And as you can see, if I'm moving my hands around, you can see that judder because there is some behavior as a result of it. But anyway, so we're back to the GH5, so it might look a little bit different because I've had to play with the color profile settings a little bit and just mess with things to get it as I want it. And this was all done a little bit rushed, if I'm honest. But it's nearly there. I'm just looking at the image on the screen now. It's pretty close. The GH5 is quite noisy in low light or lower light, so I've put the sharpness back a tad, and I've also increase the noise reduction a little bit, and it looks okay. Colors a little bit, I think it's a little bit on the reddy, maybe a little bit on the greeny, but I'll play with that a little bit later. Nothing that affects the live stream. But I didn't really have a chance to play with the audio sync properly because of the difference in outputs from HDMI, because obviously the Sony versus that. So if things do look a little different, that is the reason why. Again, this is a much better camera, the GH5, and it's going to be here properly now for the rest of the time. It really is. So, good evening, everyone who is here. Yeah, if you talk about latency, everyone will see it. Yeah, it's like when you say these things, isn't it? So, good evening, everyone. We have, how many people we got watching at the moment? We are up to 17. Good evening, you 17 fantastic people. Good evening, Type. You were first in. Mark, obviously. BB Junkie, how are you? Robert Nelson, good evening, my friend. Definitely out of sync. Yeah, it's a tad. I'm not going to be able to correct it now. I'll do it after this stream. I'll worry about it later. Sorry, guys, you're going to have to tolerate it on this one. I think the audio is a little bit ahead of time, if I'm correct. It's probably a little bit ahead. And I'm afraid to mess with it live, because you know what these things are like. Good evening, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world, Ghost FPV. Good evening, Ken's Go. How are you? I love the little emoji as well. So, really, tonight is going to be a bit of a mailbag, because it's been a week for me of not really doing a lot of content. I've had so much other stuff to do. But it's been a week of deliveries. It really has been a real week of deliveries. I've had about 5 this week. So I'm going to do a little bit of a mailbag and talk a little bit about what's coming up, as well as 30% behind in the 30% behind in vid. Is that the audio? Is it? It's yep, not with West. It's just a small delay. Audio is ahead. Yeah, I thought it was. I noticed it when I was doing the record test. I did a quick record test earlier, and trying to adjust that live is I do you know what? I'm trying to remember in OBS where it is. Properties. No, it's not there. This could end badly. I thought it was filters. Oh, advanced audio properties. Sorry, it's under here. And there is some delay I already put in already. Oh, not that one. Where is it? A10 Blast Audio Desktop Mic aux 3. Why is it not showing the XLR? Oh, wait, there. Is it at the bottom? There it is. There's 100 milliseconds in already. Let's go to 120 and see what happens. I don't know even if this works live. So I've put it to 120. We'll have to see what happens. I don't know if that even works live. Maybe if you tinker around a bit. Yeah, it's probably a bit closer. It's probably 140 or 150 might be there. I don't want to. We don't want to tweak it live. Let's put it that way. That's the biggest boring thing. So, okay. So we got some stuff to talk about, and it's been a hell of a week for deliveries. That man there, Ben, has sent me some stuff to have a look at, and there's going to be some videos coming up on that in the next couple of weeks. I'll show you some stuff that we've had. We all love Ben. Ben is amazing at 3DXR. He really is. I'm not going to mess with it, but I've put it to 120 milliseconds. That's me all over. We've had something really cool turn up, which I didn't know 100% would be coming or not, but it has. And I'm not the first person to get hold of it. But I'm going to talk a little bit about that as well, because it is frankly amazing. Just an amazing piece of kit. And we'll take a look a little bit at the stuff as well as talk about some of the other stuff. Good evening, Gal. How are you doing? Hope you are well. I was watching your video earlier. I've been watching a lot of Cal's videos earlier, actually. Usually I have to do, but not now. Like a New Year's resolution. Yeah, it's one of those things. It's got to be done, just not later. Just not later, not now. So from a content point of view, it's been quite a quiet week. Now, I suppose the first thing, today's sponsor is a plain white mug. Today's sponsor of the channel, actually, today's sponsor of the channel is Ben at 3DXR, right? No question about it, as well as one or two other companies, but we'll talk about that in a minute anyway. So, to give you guys a bit of an update, and an update on what a couple of people have been asking about. Now, there will be a proper video coming on this, which is the DJI Air unit. Now, let me just grab it. Where have I done with it? Where has it gone? It's still on the bench. Okay. So, to give you a little bit of an update on this. Now, this isn't the full video. I thought it was toilet roll. Yeah, I like that. So to give you a bit of an update on this, and let me switch to the overhead so you guys can see it. Yeah, you can see this is something I'm going to have to figure out. The Sony camera doesn't allow 25p. Really frustrating. Right, let's get in there. And is that Sony going to autofocus? Ooh, look at that. That's shocking. They say Sony autofocus is good. I'm not so convinced. It is a new camera. Yes, it is. I've swapped some cameras around, Ink. The man noticed. Yes, I've moved from my Sony to my GH5. The colors will look a little bit different. I haven't spent much time tuning it. Better or worse, interestingly? Let me know what you think. I've had to tweak the settings on the Panasonic a little bit. It's a bit red. So I need to just probably dial the color back a little bit. But anyway, okay, so this damn Air unit. Now, you can see some extra stuff on here, and there's a reason for this. If I spin it over, I'll explain what's been going on. Let me just find something to poke it with. So, a bit too red. Yeah, agreed. Definitely. I did it on the fly. Okay, so originally we burnt out this regulator, which we replaced. We were then getting the 3.3 volts here, correct. I have replaced this regulator twice, but this one, yeah, I just need... Video is not smooth, though, a little bit choppy. Is that on the overhead is choppy? You'll find this one. Is this one choppy, or is the overhead choppy? Let me know in a minute, because the overhead, I think, is choppy, and I'm going to have to sort that. Now, we replaced this regulator here. However, I have not been able to get this regulator doing what it should be doing. Okay? There was also a burnt out coil here, which is missing. So what I've done in preparation to test this is I've then injected 5 volts here. And I have found another issue. And that issue is that there is a short on this output here on this system management IC. Now, this system management IC, let me just rotate it round, has 4 voltage outputs. I can't remember them in what order they are off the top of my head, but you can see there's a coil here, coil here, coil here. And I've removed that coil there on purpose because there is a short on this side of that output. Now, I've been removing a few components to see if I can figure out where it is. However, I can't. It's on the 5 volt rail. It may be the main SoC is shorted. The only thing I haven't done yet is put power supply voltage injection in, which I'm going to do this week before I finish off the video. So, the situation with this today is that this is dead. There's no recovering this now for me as it is today. Okay, it is a goner. I don't believe that additional short I created. It was there as part of the initial damage I did, because what was happening was I replaced that regulator and it had actually burnt out the coil as well with it, which I wasn't expecting, to be honest. But there is definitely been a short on that side. I personally, at this point, feel that the damage was done at that initial power-up. You know, as you see, I've had to chew into it a little bit more. Like, if you look closely, I've removed the can on purpose just so I can get in there a little bit more when I was doing the work on it. But the reality is, it is an extremely delicate piece of work. This has had a lot of mess in since I couldn't get it going. I've been doing some more work on it, removing a few, just to try and track down this short. Obviously, everything is as it should be on this side. There's no problems this side. But interestingly, both that 5 volt rail and that rail on the system management IC appear on this side of the board as well. So, the situation is, this will not live again, basically, in my life. Although, I want to track down where that short is. But what's been really interesting in this is that it's given me a huge amount of info on the behavior of this thing in the event of a overvoltage or a bad power situation, and the repairability of it. And it is frankly horrible to repair. There's no getting away from that fact. They have not made any part of this easy to work on. The layout is interesting, the way they've done everything as well. And there's quite a lot of protection about it in there. But it certainly didn't protect. If you tend not to fix, just start lifting. That's what I've already started to do, BB Junkie, funnily enough. That is the stage I've been already at. If you look here... sorry, let me get in close. If you look here, that's what I've already started to do. So what you've got off this side here was the coil, and the reason that coil's removed is because it was dead short, so I've been testing from there out. And then we've started lifting components here. I've removed another one of those transistors. There was a diode here, capacitor there, I haven't been able to trace the short down. The next job, and the reason this is here, this is a 5-volt BC. So the IG was the fact I wasn't happy with this was to inject a 5-volt, which it should have, that side to see if I can track down what's actually going on. But the reality is, yeah, I've started to lift components. It will never go back to working now. But what I will do is I want to understand where the home of this short is. Now, my bets are it's the P1, the main SoC. That's where my bets are on this. Because I've studied this board and there's no physical signs of damage on any caps or anything like that. Everything looks correct. So my belief is I wouldn't be shocked if we burnt the main SoC. Now, as for what I've done or doing about it, well, obviously that's a goner. So I either need to find another board, as you guys have suggested. I have ordered just an ear unit from DJI because they are showing them as being available at the end of this month on their website. So I've ordered it, bought and paid for, £99. That's the cheapest and quickest way forward on this a minute. And that, hopefully, I've been having a look around to see if I can find any damaged ones, anything on eBay, but there's nothing over here. There's nothing in the UK anyway. But we're gonna have to see. We're going to have to see how it goes, basically. But yeah, so that's the update. I will do a proper video on it and share it on the channel. It's frustrating that this kind of issue can completely destroy it. You know, there's no hope of repair on this. There really isn't. The Vista, in my opinion, is far more repairable than the original DJI Air unit, interestingly. The Vista is more repairable, for sure. It's such a compacted design, this. It really is. But yeah, so that gives us the outcome on that one. As I said, it's had a lot of playing now. It has had a lot of playing, but it's a shame. But it is what it is, you know. Let me just look on mine. That is a little bit stuttery, isn't it? It is. I thought, well, that's a bit interesting. Just check something on OBS. I just wanted to have a look at video. Yeah, 25 frames a second. Yeah, that's weird. I'm a little bit surprised why it's so stuttery. I can see what you mean now. ATEM control panel. I just want to check that the ATEM hasn't changed its setting inadvertently. No, 25p, 1080p. Weird. Very weird. Very weird indeed. I can see a bit of stutter. I can see what you guys mean. Yeah, it's handy. Stuttery like Leo Sayers video. Picture is a lot darker. Yeah, I think it is. Wait, I can change that. 1 second. Do you know, this is gone stuttery. It wasn't that, on my end, it wasn't that stuttery earlier, neither. Let me just switch scenes. Just check OBS isn't doing weird. Yeah, that's not good. That's weird. Move to 25p on purpose. 1 second. I've jacked the ISO up a touch. It might be a little bit bright now. That's the only problem. I'll have to knock that down a touch. Yeah, no, that's probably too white, isn't it? That's probably cheer advertising again. Is that too white? Daylight. Wait, seems a bit better. Yeah, it just seems quite. Definitely got to tweak it. Definitely got to tweak it. Ah, the light is back. The screen, yeah. Yeah, actually, that looks a tad better. I'm just a bit blown out on my side, but we'll live with that a minute. We'll live with that. There we go. It's always a combination of the camera screen versus my screen. I am red today, by the way, because I've been in the sun. I am definitely red today because I've been in the sun. Oh, yeah, it looks all right on YouTube. That's interesting. It looks a bit oversat. It looks a bit blown out on OBS. But weird. It's amazing the difference in cameras, isn't it? It really is amazing the difference in how they behave, how one is versus the other. Like, I'll do one other thing. That should have dialed the colour back a little bit as well, then. Grey old day in the UK. There we go. It was a nice day here today. It really was a nice day here today. So hot. I literally, I've been to a crisp today. I really have. Compared to the beginning, 2 minutes. Yeah, I didn't really get. It's still blown out. That cup looks very blown out on my side. I need to have a look at it on my phone, actually. The problem is, you're trying to tweak versus this, versus that, versus everything else. Probably take the highlights down a tad, and it'll probably be not far off being there, actually. Toilet paper mug now. Okay, guys. So, anyway, that's the air unit. That's the situation. There's not a lot more we can do. Smooth video now. That's interesting. I wonder what's changed. Interesting. It's actually nice here too, Belfast. Yeah, it's been weird. It was a really nice day. I did a massive walk around a massive lake. We've got a massive dam here. Did a little bit of flying. Smudge off the highlights should do it. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Just a smudge off the top end now. That's what it needs. I'll mess with that later. So we had a nice walk today, bit of flying. Just doing some stuff for a review on a tripod I got coming up because I do use camera gear all of the time. More light, less shutter, maybe. Yeah, maybe a tad. Yeah, problem is I got it at 50th. I could knock the shutter down a touch. Go on in. One more. I've knocked the aperture down. Ooh, that was a bit rough. I think it's the PC. Yeah, that's weird. I can see it on my side. I'm just wondering. I've just changed two things. I just wanted to change this. Weird. Definite. I wonder if YouTube is doing something weird. I wonder if you. I could definitely see a stutter I'm not used to seeing, and that's the interesting thing. Perhaps we'll be going back to 50p then. But anyway, enough of that. So, been out today, bit of flying, bit of that. I can see me changing that in a minute. All we need is flashing lights and disco. Yeah, it's good to me. No stutter. It's weird because I can see it on my end as well, which is, 25p should have a bit of motion blur. Hence the reason you have 25p. But I wasn't expecting that bad. But then again, perhaps live streaming is better at 50. I don't have audio shutter. Oh, okay. I'll have to watch it back at the end. Anyway, so that's it on that. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about, and let me just bring it up. How many have we got here? We've got 35 of you. Good evening. Overhead has shutter. Yeah, that's running at 50p. I need to figure out the overhead. I really do need to figure out the issue on the overhead one. That's Sony. Sony don't give you a 25p option. You can have 24p or 50 or 60, but no 25. I'm UK. We need 25 for the lighting. If I go 24, you'll see flashing. 720p probably better than 1080p 25. Yeah, I can go 1080p 50. It's not an issue. The reason I moved away from 50 is it just takes up a lot more space when I'm doing my recording. But perhaps I'll go back to it. I want to try and keep the GH5 here though. I do want to try and do that. But so, the next thing I want to talk a bit about is the Autel Smart Controller, because it's turned up this week for a few people. Now, let me just get the right screen up on this one. Now, we don't cover a lot of Autel on the channel, but there is some interesting stuff going on. Before I do that, I just want to jump back. I saw a question as well, and I've just remembered it and missed it. I don't like missing questions. Martin Clark, hey, OPL, keep missing. Good work. I believe you just a few. You have a few bits. I believe you have a few bits from. I do have a few bits from 3DXR. How are you, Martin? I've been following you on QPilot. In fact, you're a bit ahead of me on something I was going to talk about today. Gal, it was a question someone asked about. If someone asked a question earlier about DJI Air unit or the DJI goggles, post it again and I'll answer, because I don't like missing questions. I saw it but forgot to come back to it. We got distracted by the camera. Yeah, the reason is our mains frequency is 50 hertz. So if you have anything off multiples of 50, you're going to get flickering on the lights. Whereas you guys are slightly off. So let's jump over to the Autel and have a quick look at this. Now, the smart controller arrived this week for a couple of people. Just put that up to make sure it's working. And a gentleman who's George Castillo has been posting a huge amount, and I did message him just to say I'm going to talk a bit about some of the images, and it's finally arrived with people. Now, if you don't know what the smart controller is, it's sort of the DJI equivalent smart controller for Autel. However, it's bigger, brighter, 2000 nits, 2K, and it's just a big all-in-one remote for the Autel system. Now, this isn't cheap. It's over $1,000. And you've got all this hoo-ha as well around it being compatible. This is a version 1, which means it's only going to be compatible with today's Evo. It won't be compatible with the version 2. But the gentleman had it. It comes from Advenx. I can never say this company's name. Advexture, I'm assuming. You can see you've got the smart controller itself. Nice, really big screen on this. Really, really big screen. Not a lot of buttons on it, though. You know, you've got a home button and a pause button. There is some more on the top. But, okay, there's a lot of opportunity here for some more buttons, in my opinion. I'd like to have seen some more switches on it. Some proper switches as well. You can see it's basically all display on the front. On the back, you've got a hook. You've got the Autel logo, and you've got some buttons on the top. It looks like it's a nice smooth coating. You know, so we have got more buttons. You can see that there's 2 dials, left and right, C2, C1, camera button and record. And then you've got your 2 antennas, and then you've got your normal USB, your USB-C, and HDMI output. And we've got another button here. Is that the recording there? I wonder what that is. There another picture? So you've got the antennas. Just want to see. He's got this cover as well, and he has posted more pictures too of it in use with the Evo. And this is 2000 nits, so seriously bright. The charger's a nice one, full output charger, which is nice as well, 65 watt. And let's just jump up a bit further. He's done a modification for a patch panel antenna already on it. He's wasted no time at all. Man's been having way too much fun. Way too much fun. There's a screenshot from it in use. There's some new firmware out for it as well. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about it, really, because it is interesting to see it released. It is out. He did also put a video on YouTube. Not DJI. Autel Smart Controller. He literally put a video out earlier. There it is. This is his video here.
It's bright. I can really see it.
Seriously bright piece of kit. And I know Ken's going to be talking about this, Dobo, because I think he's got one as well, and he's big into his Autel gear. But it's really, really is a seriously bright piece of kit. So it's good to see it out. It's good to see it land. It'd be nice to see something of this size on the DJI gear again. You know, it really would. But it is out there. It does exist. It's not vaporware. It really does exist for those who did question it. But it is nice to see it. It is nice to see it reach out there. Good evening, Bruce. How are you? We've all been getting heads up on YouTube, seeing hit and miss. YouTube seems to be directly to the video. Wants you to watch. It does happen. Tommy, good evening. How are you? Good evening, Gary. My guess is, as a software developer, it seems Google goggles are dual boot in terms of firmware. They are. So the goggles, question, anyone knew why the goggles V2 need rebooting after switching? Yes. So, okay, this switching thing. The goggles have to switch because they basically are dual booting firmware. You have a legacy firmware for the version 1 system and a new firmware for the version 2. The reason you have to rebind when you've bound on the one side is the process of binding each of the different systems erases the onboard memory with all of your stored aircraft in for the new ones because they're not mutually the same. Now, here and now, the information I was given was that this likely will not be resolved from DJI. That isn't to say it won't, but the chances are it's not going to get fixed because it's just the way they've done it. Now, there are lots of thoughts on this. Lazy, not acceptable, don't care about users. I don't think it's as simple as that. What you have to understand about DJI is they are extremely segmented in the way they operate. And my belief is this is as simple as the V2s were developed, the firmware was adapted to support them for the FPV side of things, and it was so a little change it wasn't an issue, and the drone was made entirely separately by a different department who did their firmware, and there was a very small coming together at the end to allow it to cooperate on both sides, but there was no real thought put in for a full mix, and that's where I think the issue is. Now, does this mean that they can't do something about it? The impression I was given is it's probably going to need an entire rewrite on both sides to do that. Will they do it? I don't know. Or a large amount of dev work to do that as well. So the issue is, when you move into the other mode, it doesn't do it. However, it only does it when you first bind something new. It's sort of overwriting everything that was there before. And that's the main issue with it. Can they fix it? Yes. You can always fix these things. There's always a way of fixing things like this, but it comes down to cost and time, and that's what it comes down to. Heavily siloed, insanely siloed is DJI. In all the years' experience I've had with them, majorly siloed. A picture in direct sunlight. No, it's really good, Ghost. It's bright. 2000 nits is... I borrowed a 2000 nits Crystal Sky once in here, and it was like setting off the sun in the room. It was that bright. It was insane how bright the 2K Crystal Sky is. It's just really bad design part on DJI, too lazy to fix it. I think, they could fix it. There's no question. I have no more info if they intend to do it. As I said, the plan was, when I asked about it, not at this time, probably never. That's the way it was put to me. Now, there's no point, people have said to me, why don't you kick off about that? The reason I made that kickoff video, because there was a fundamental flaw in the way the V2s work that could brick it for users. This is just a bloody annoyance more than anything. And I will make a video on it, just calling it out. But I'll be honest, I don't really think there is any real development interest in the V1 system at all. I just don't think DJI have much interest there at all now. Hand on heart. I just think they've moved on. It's all about the drone now. 2000 nits, does it come with optional eye protection? 2000 nits is bloody bright. Real bright. And people have said, there's bright phones out there. Very few of these smartphones that do 2000 nits. is they do go to 2000 nits, but they're not at it all the time. I just wondered, because after binding one ear unit, all my other cords managed back too, so I thought it just makes a small mistake. That's interesting. Okay, so I haven't tried this. So when you're saying when you binded the one, it put them all back. All they had to do is have an offset. Yes, Bruce, they could, and you know, I think we'd all accept a limitation even in it if they said, right, you can only bind 2 FPV quads and the FPV drone at the same time. I think that would be a nice compromise. There surely should be a way to do this. There was a smartphone I thought that would do 1,000 plus. Wasn't it one of the Samsungs would do 1,000 plus, but it wasn't all of the time. All my others worked again. So that's interesting. So what it tells you is it's not erasing the flash storage. It's just not being able to access it. That is really interesting. I didn't know that. Someone asked, Steve Mann, have I seen this MK15? I have. Okay. SIYI MK15. That is the DJI lookalike. If I'm right, it's the one that looks like the smart controller. Yes, it is. There you go. It looks like the DJI one. I'm not sure what to make of this. Right. Okay. That's this radio here. It's like a mini DJI. Well, not mini DJI smart controller. It's about the same size, but it's a open market equivalent of the DJI smart controller. Now, just to put it up, it's that one there for those who haven't seen it. Let me just find some bigger pictures. It's also been branded under CUAV as well, I believe. It's, you know, built it's a HuLink style device like the DJI smart controller, 15-kilometer range, H267 secondary controller, IP53 rated. Everything looks nice and tight. 15 kilometers, 1080p, multiple options, multiple wireless features, so wireless binding coming soon, secondary controller. So all of this stuff is coming soon, and I can tell you why that's the case, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. High capacity lithium-ion batteries, and then it's various combos. And this is where these units get a bit weird, because they sell them with like a receiver and a camera option, and then they sell them with a HDMI converter option as well. And it gets quite expensive when you're going down the HDMI converter option. How much was it? That it wasn't cheap at that point. Is it HDMI 659? It's not terrible, but yeah, it's at that. Okay, so on this remote, these are quite nice. However, I did have a bit of a discussion with them when they originally first came out, but it never really came to anything. They sort of, we had a bit of a chat, and that was as far as it went. They didn't really want to set. They said they couldn't send one for me to evaluate, but I could buy one at like a 5 or 10% discount, and I was like, sorry, but at $700-800, until I've seen this, I'm not going to hand $500 or $700 over. It's that simple. Now, it's an okay bit of kit, but you have to take into account with these radios is that is based off a very similar, if not the same chipset as HuLink. And many of the features that they're talking about are the same features that are coming on HuLink, and they're sort of being done in the back end via that firmware and the software. Now, the reason I haven't really out and out discussed these or tried one too much and spent my own money on one is I always have the concern about dev support over longevity. People have complained that HuLink has taken a long time to get where it is, and you've got devs pushing that. And there is a reason these things have taken the time, because it just isn't easy. It's doing wireless video is really hard, right? Go and ask Fat Shark. Go and ask anyone else who's trying to do this. DJI make wireless video transmission look easy because they've been doing it for 6-7 years. However, everyone else is playing catch up. Now, the SK15, or the MK15, is a nice looking radio. It seems to have decent support at the moment, but I'd question the longevity of that. And here and now, I see no reason to have that over HearLink, because HearLink is being supported. There's some big updates coming around the corner. Yes, I know we'd all like them quicker. Everyone would say that. But HearLink does have a dev team behind it, and they're using the same chipset. And the thing to take into account with some of these radios, they're basically using the same firmware, or they're trying to borrow the features that other people are making. So they're a bit complicated. I do know the users on the MK15 seem fairly happy. But we'll have to see. But I haven't tried one myself. I wouldn't mind trying it out. Hand on heart, would try it out. What I can say is a unnamed dealer who has tried many of these things has a number of them sitting on the bench he's not willing to hand out to customers because they don't do what they advertise they will do. And that is the problem with these things. And that's what you've got to always be careful about. Do they have the support behind them if there's issues, basically? Okay, just checking in on the live. Where are we? 54 people watching. Good evening, 50. Give us a like, as someone said in the chat there. Give us a like. Thank you for watching. If you've got any questions, please do put them in. Shall I put that screen up so it'll give you the questions element. So, they have government support. Is that SIYI have government support? Is that them? Is it? Oh, just like a Tyrion. Yes. You missed the start. Don't worry, mate. You missed all of the bad stuff. It's just as bad now, but you missed the real bad stuff. For those who've turned up late, things might look a little bit different. I am using a different camera, and I do think it's a little bit stuttery. Which I'm going to probably have to go back to 50p. I wanted 25. It's annoying. Although I could use 50 for recording direct and 25. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, that's the thing with those radios. There has been some others by the H16 is another, and there was a H14 and a H12, and a lot of them have had some serious issues with their radios, with users being stuck. Yeah, it is a bit stuttery. I'm half tempted to stop the stream and change to 50p. I do not understand why this is all stuttery when we're all in 25. Very, very weird. Very weird indeed. I'm surprised at that. I really am surprised at that. Stream settings. Yeah. Seems like YouTube doesn't like 25p. Who'd have thought? No problem. Okay, so that's to cover that. So it's been a week of deliveries, and if you guys, again, with anything, if you do have questions, please do let me know. But no, so I want to talk about a few of the deliveries, because it's been a real week of deliveries this week for me. Now, Ben at 3DXR has kept me busy. He sent me some stuff to have a look at, some stuff to play with. Bruce asked if he could stop the stream. Yeah, fixed wing isn't ideal. Yeah. Open access support back then. There's a number of these Chinese companies trying to hop on this board. Try 24p. Puts an 80 degree. Yeah. Shutter's 180. So I moved over. If it stop ask the stream if they can stop Bruce. Yes. Yeah, I've gone back down to 25, but I don't quite understand why it is stuttery. It should be fine. You know, everything. I changed everything over to 25p. So OBS is at 25p. The A10 Mini is at 25p. Everything should be correct, but it clearly isn't happy. It isn't happy at all. So we'll put up with it for this one, unless it's YouTube being a funny bugger. There isn't anything I'm not aware of with YouTube 25p, YouTube Live stuttery 25p. Shall I have a look just in case? I just wonder if there's something I've missed. YouTube Live 25p stuttery. OBS stutter drop frames. I'm just wondering if I've missed something. According to this third YouTube series, okay. This might explain it. Allegedly, YouTube re-encodes 25p to 30p. Great. Cheers, YouTube. Thanks for that. Ideal shutter. Yeah, 1/50th. That's what I'm at. There is no audio leaving a YouTube says stream is 30p, so you'll be getting the duplicate frames. Yeah, that's what it's doing. It's YouTube. YouTube. Now, what I don't know is how easy it'll be to change that live. We'll have to put up with it today, guys. My apologies. Thank you for the super chatting, FPV. Massive thanks. I really do appreciate it. Don't be humble about it. We know. Why 30p? Because it's... Well, I have to go 25p because I'm in the UK. Because if I move this now to 24 or 30, you'd be flashing. It would be very, very flashing. But it wouldn't be good. What I don't know is if I can change this on the fly. I wouldn't like to try that, so we'll have to tolerate it. Anyway, so time for the mailbag. If you've got any questions, please do let us know. Get with the program. US standards. I can't use US standards. I'm in the UK. We have 50 hertz electricity. We don't have your stupid frequency of electricity. You get with metric. So yeah, that explains Ennis putting extra frames in. Okay, so to talk about the deliveries this week. Okay, so we've got a few things. First things first, I have a new Sonic Model AR Wing Pro to build, which is going to be coming in the next couple of weeks, and I will be doing a video about this. I broke my original AR wing and I can't get a replacement wing for it. Someone did tell me they had one and you need to reach out to me and remind me because I want that wing off you. But we have an AR Wing Pro. So this is the one that supports the DJI HD system as well. So that is good. We are going to be building that over the next couple of weeks. We've got the Maytech Fly controller to go in it. Well, weeks. It might take me a while. You got one of them recently as well. Very cool. 60 hertz, 30, 60. So yeah, that's I've got an AR Wing 900, but I broke it. Ardra Pilot, yeah, it's going to be running Ardra Pilot. Definitely going to be running Ardra Pilot. So we're going to be doing that. I haven't even opened the box yet. I did think it's a bit small, the box. I thought it's going to be bigger. No, well, frequency does. Yeah, well, the flickering is if you do 25 or 30p in the UK, it's out of sync with our mains electric, so you'll get the you'll actually get a flickering effect from the lighting. The lighting itself will actually flicker. It's all good fun. So, yeah, so we're going to be doing that one. Very nice. That's coming cool. We're going to be building one of these, which is the Hexoon mini frame. And we're going to be doing this with a Cube Orange. And I'm going to be moving my my test build into it, which is that one there. Which is currently an F550. And that's going to be going into the full Hexoon frame build, which is interesting. This is one of the new frames from Hexoon. It has 4 motors, propellers, landing gear set. It's got everything on board. Haven't opened it yet. Haven't even had a look. So we'll be looking at that one. We'll be doing an unboxing of that one and a build on that one as well. So we're going to be doing that, which is interesting. I've already, and I don't know, did I show you this? We've already, I think I showed you this last week. I had this already, which is the Roma F5 build, which is going to be the sort of equivalent to DJI, but I got to get on with that one. I haven't started that yet. Got a lot to do this summer, an awful lot to do this summer. Then, which is quite nice, is these. And these are the RF Design radios. And we've got a couple of these. And we're going to be taking a closer look at these radios as well. We're going to be doing a video with them. We're going to be doing a couple of videos on these, actually. And I've got a range of these. I've got the RF 868s, the 900s, and the TX mod as well, which is Wi-Fi. These are the wireless telemetry system. So it's not video, it's telemetry, but it also allows you to do RC as well over PPM via the module. So these are long range 868 for the UK or 900s for the US market. And these are very, very nice pieces of gear. Very nice pieces of gear indeed. If you haven't seen these, so these are the RF Design modules. So what these do is long range telemetry, and people have had very, very long range, to say the least. And this is obviously a JR module receiver and transmitter, so it will receive the telemetry and link back, and you can have that directly on your radio, but it will also dual link back your PPM radio for long range as well. These have been around a while. They're made by an Australian company. You'll find them on the Cube Pilot poster, in fact. There they are. They're up in the top corner in the Cube Pilot poster. So I'm going to be doing some interesting videos on these as well. Some of the ones I've got here are obviously legal for the UK, and some of them aren't. I'll only be using the legal ones in the UK, but I'll be going over the whole range, and there's quite a lot to explain on these radios as well. But that also has built-in Wi-Fi. So the nice thing about this is you can connect it to Mission Planner directly to stream your telemetry data or your phone via Wi-Fi. Range on these is long. Let me just see what they officially say. I can't remember off the top of my head what the official range is. RF Designs. I'll show you the website. They make some very... I'm trying to remember what they're saying on the range. Up to 40 kilometers plus, depending on antenna and ground station setup. They've had 80 kilometers by Eagle Research Labs. So we are talking very long range. Very long range. Perhaps not loved by the radio authorities. Very long range. I guess cheaper thanks to the trade deal. I don't know. Yeah, it has to be beyond visual line of sight. Some people have amazing eyesight. Yeah, they do. Some people really do have amazing eyesight. But they're also very good telemetry radios as well. Really good ones overall. So we're going to be taking a look at them. Really good pieces of kit. I've been wanting to get my hands on these for a while, so Ben's lent me a few to talk about. Did make me laugh with antennas, though. It was like, how many antennas will I need to demonstrate and test these? How many antennas does it take to build a drone? That sort of answers that question, doesn't it? It's thanks, Ben. You do make me laugh. There's also going to be this to look at, which is going to be part of that Hexoon build, and there'll be a video coming on this as well. And this is the new 360 LiDAR unit, and this is the SF45, not long been released, and this does 360. So just to show you on the top, so if you look, it does have a limit, but it rotates, stops, rotates, stops, but it gives that full pattern of LiDAR as well. Very, very interesting piece of kit. And we're going to be doing that on the Hexoon. Very super cool. Very, very super cool piece of kit. So we're going to be demonstrating some setup videos. That is currently, there's a couple of people. Thing who was watching earlier has one on a build already. So we're going to be doing a demo and build with this. I've got to send that back to him because it's very expensive. So we've got that as well. Bendy ruler on a buggy. They're not cheap, so that one is on loan, to say the least, as are the radios, because I have enough radios to sink a battleship. I said, you can send me a selection, so he did. Massive selection. It made me laugh. So we've had that, and then I've also had a delivery from Germany, and I think Bruce may be having a delivery from Germany as well, and that delivery involves some interesting pieces of kit, and I didn't know 100% if this was going to come or not. However, it has, and that is this, which is the Spectrum V6, and this is the same analyzer you'd have seen on RC Shim. Or Shim, I could never say his name properly. And this arrived at the end of the week in a gigantic box. A box big enough for me to house my family in. Yes and no, Bruce. I'll talk to you about that. I'll give you a shout about that later. Nothing great at the moment, let's just say. And this is, I've had this out on the bench, and it has literally blown my tiny mind. Just how capable it is. Honestly, hand on heart, it has literally blown me away. So there's some content to come on this as well. I've got a couple of other videos to get out the way first, and I have set it up. It is one of the most highest quality pieces of equipment I have ever held. It feels absolutely solid. It weighs a ton. This box is like 2 kilos. It weighs an absolute ton. But this, I've only scratched the surface on what this is capable of. And again, I didn't know if this was coming, but 100%, but it did arrive this week. But Bruce, I'll talk to you about it later, mate. So put that back over there. So that's the mailbox this week, actually. It's been really busy. Now, what that means is I've got loads to do, and I mean loads and loads to do. So from a content point of view, we've got the handheld spectrum analyzer video coming, and that one is going back. That's a loaner, as is, most of this stuff is loaner. You don't just get given this stuff. It doesn't happen, especially that thing. That is a really cool bit of kit, but they're very different use cases as well. So we've got the video coming on this, which I was out with today, which is the AIM-TTI Spectrum. If you saw the video I did on the DJI, and these guys were amazing. I cannot thank these enough. This portable spectrum analyzer, I did the video on this the other day. This is again another amazing piece of gear. I was really lucky to be able to borrow this. I would not have been able to make a couple of the videos that I have without them lending me this piece of gear. So a massive thank you to AIM-TTI. I really love this as well. Very different pieces of gear. That is a bench stroke computer based scope. This is portable. They both have very different use cases, but they do overlap, and really interested indeed. So the video on this will be coming first, because this one was already in the pipeline, and that is higher up the scale. But again, I've been lucky to the Spectra, to give you an idea, this is about, to buy this kit that here is about $5,000. They very kindly lent it to me, and that one's going back. You can almost double that for the other one. You can almost double it for the other one. Someone was saying they were... I was looking at a Wi-Fi build either with LiDAR. I've already looked at all of the DJI radio systems. I already have a fair understanding of how all of the DJI radio systems work. They all behave slightly differently, and it's quite interesting, actually. It is quite interesting, and this gear has allowed me to understand things in a completely different way than I had before. So for instance, you know, I did the video on the FPV system. I found some new behavior as well on the current FPV system I didn't know about and I didn't see in that initial video as well. So for instance, whereas I said in that original video, so I'm just getting my pages up properly, whereas I said in that original video that when you switch to 50 megabits mode, 50 meg mode only works in channel 1, 2, or 3 and doesn't work in public 8. That technically is correct. However, it does work in channel 8 if you reboot the drone. So, for instance, if you're in 25 megabits mode, right, and you switch to 50, when you stay in channel 8, it's still in 25 megs. You move to channel 1, it goes to 50 megs. You move back to 8, it goes to 25 megs. However, reboot it, and it will give you 50 megs mode in all channels, even if you move them. It's bizarre. So it has a different behavior that when you change it from 25 to 50, that when you boot it in 50. Also, that behavior I talked about in that video with the remote shifts channel. So if you watch the video, what I said was in 25 megabits mode, the remote and video remain on the same channel at all times. They follow each other around. Whereas in 50 megs mode, the remote remains on channel 8 and the video moves. The video can move to channel 2. Sorry, the remote can move to channel 2. Good evening, Bruce. Stay safe, mate. Sorry, you look after yourself. It can move to channel 2, but only channel 2. It'll only go to 8 or 2. It won't, and it doesn't really go to 2 very often. And whilst I did show it once in that video, it doesn't do it all of the time. So it's quite interesting, quite weird behavior. Whereas the DJI FPV drone behaves differently again. No matter what frequency mode you have it in, so for instance 5 gigs or 2.4, the remote stays in 2.4 gigs almost all of the time. I've still never found the FPV drone remote in 5 gigs. I've only ever found the FPV drone in 2.4. So even if you manually set the DJI FPV drone to 5 gigs on the wireless video, the remote remains in 2.4. Completely different to any other DJI system I've seen out there. There are very, very interesting behaviors. The Mavics, again, work very differently. There's all sorts of strange behavior between all of the DJI systems. For instance, on a Mavic, when it loses signal, the video polls between 2.4 and 5 gigs until it picks the remote back up again. So it goes 2.4, 5, 2.4, 5, and it polls on the same channel on each band every time. I don't mean the same channel on the bands, until it picks the signal up again. Whereas the FPV drone doesn't do that. It does it slightly differently. So there is some interesting behavior around all of these wireless systems and how they actually work. And we're going to be covering them in a couple of videos. Each one, we've got Lightbridge, we've got SharkBite we want to take a look at as well. There's lots to look at on these radio systems. It's probably going to be a video covering all of them in one. I'm going to just go, this is this, this is that, this is that, this is that. All quite interesting. Yeah, Lean, these are extremely expensive bits of gear. I am extremely privileged to have been lent one of these. I really am. It's going to allow me to do things a little bit differently, even from that handheld scope, which has to go back, but it's going to allow me to continue to play with things as well. So, yeah, it's been an interesting week, and there is a lot here to keep me busy. You know, reality is right now, I'm going to be busy for the rest of the summer. There's one other thing to come. I'm having the RunCam the MIPI camera coming probably this week. I'll tell you what day, actually. I've had a tracking number. I've got the MIPI camera coming as well. But was it Thing put a video up on it today. Albert Kim did a video today on it, and to be honest, he's covered everything you ever need to know on it. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. But there will be I will have a video coming on it, just giving it an overview, just giving it a show as well. I'm annoyingly back down to a minimum number of ear units again. I'm limited on how many ear units. I have ordered another one from DJI because I've got a spare camera right now. but I haven't got as many as I would like. Good evening, Ink FPV. You stay safe, my friend. Thank you for your time. I do appreciate it. Grumpy FPV, you've gone and bought a fixed wing. It's always fun, fixed wing. Always fun. You're going to go Ardra Pilot or iNav? Raspberry Pi support, their response was shady and they backed and said it would not support. That's interesting because it said Raspberry Pi, didn't it? I'll see if I can find out more on that. Thoughts on the TBS Mambo? I like it. I watched Painless's video and I watched who stripped it? Was it our friend who is here? Whose video did I watch? I watched 2 videos on it. Was it Gal? I'm trying to remember. Let me just check YouTube. I'll tell you in my history who it was. I watched Painless's. History. Carl, it might have been Carl's. Let me just go down. I watched so much stuff. I like it. And I like it so much, I'm probably going to order one. It's a shame it didn't have Crossfire built in. That is a shame. Right, let me just get down here. It'll come up now. Let me just get down the list. No. LiveViews. Yeah, LiveViews. Mike's got it. Is it LiveView? I watch TBS's and I watch LiveViews. I kind of like it, but I think they fucked up getting Tracer. Nobody wants that. Yeah, I sort of get it. Well, I don't. Actually, no, I don't get it. Where the bloody hell is Crossfire? Why do I want to put a module in it? If you watch the interview with Painless, I love Painless. Lee is a great guy as well. It takes the module. So, I get that. And he said he assumes everyone will have the module already. However, I don't. I haven't seen. Has pricing been released for it yet? Let's just have a look. TBA, Team Black Sheep. This is going to be the problem. Is the barrier? $189 for the guys who don't have the radio already. So if we look, go on the desktop. Okay, so module wise, so we're gonna need a module. Let's go to the shop. I don't want. Yeah, Tracer. I don't want Tracer. So. Where are the modules? Modules. Ready to fly. Bundles, frames, electronics. Where have they hidden out? Oh, RC links. Sorry. Under RC links. TX modules, receivers. So, is it the TX Lite that it takes? Which one is it takes? I can't remember. Is this a module or is that just the one that bolts on the back? No, that's the one that bolts on the back. No, it's not the TX Lite. No, sorry. Wrong one. I've lost my screen. That one. Bring the comments back up. 150 euros. So it's not that one. We want Crossfire. So, is it going to take the Nano TX then? Is it? Is that what the plan is? Or the micro? Which is the module they're planning for it to take? Because let me just shrink that down and keep that up so I can see both the comments at the same time. I saw the video, but I'm not the biggest expert on all of the Crossfire modules. So TX Lite and full micro. That's what I thought. It was a full bay. So tracer inside, first rate TBS tracer built in, an existing Crossfire. Yeah. So you're gonna have to use so. The Nano TX that's a module. Is that a bay? No, that's not a bay module, so that's no good. So it's going to have to be either that starter kit. No, it won't fit the Nano TX. And why wouldn't it fit the Nano TX? It's here's a genuine question. Why will it not fit the Nano TX? That just seems bonkers to me. In it, do you know what I mean? Why did they put a JR bay and just not make it fit the Nano TX? I understand, does it? Okay, so the Nano converts Nano to small, but the Nano converts to a micro with the microplastic kit top left on the page. There you go. This kit for those who want to transfer is to the Nano casing. Okay. So the problem is, Crossfire, you're going to be talking $120 for the starter kit just to get going. Or if you've already got it, do they do the module on its own? So you're talking 70 on top again, aren't you? It's just a lot of money. It's just a lot of money, in my opinion. Why did they just, it would have been nice. So the Nano TX retrofit. So wait there, what's the Nano TX retrofit? The micro, yeah, this kit for those who want to transfer their micro TX version 2 internals to the Nano casing. So yeah, that's the other one. Yeah. So it's going to have to be, unless there's a new one come in, it's going to be the micro TX version 2, isn't it? I'm guessing. Is that the Bay one? I have the module by TX to attempt to get the Mambo, but I really can't justify it. Yeah, that makes sense. I can see it, but yeah, I don't know. I just think at times it's a really nice looking radio. I have to say that. If I go onto YouTube and go down to the review, it is a really nice looking radio. I'm not running Express LRS. Provide what 2? Yeah, it's there was the bay, so yeah, it's a full size bay in it. Oh, let's go to there. Yeah, full size JR bay. Yeah, so it's got that. Ranger Tracer, I'm not sure. TV, right, okay, so home. I just want to see it. I like how the sticker say the cause impinge, but I can't justify it. Yeah, it's a nice looking radio set. It really is a nice looking radio set. Tracer is very good range. It's feedback first. Yeah, Crossfire is, we all love Crossfire. I've used Crossfire. It's a good piece of kit. There's no question about that. Do they say the range on that page? I just want to see what they're saying. Features. What are they saying range wise? They just say long range, don't they? Tracer is pants. What's Express LRS? I'm just trying to see what the range on Express LRS is. Does it Express LRS? I'm just trying to see what they're saying. .4 gig happy mode. Tracer states it can go out 25 kilometers, but expect 2.4. It's like 40 kilometers, yeah. Which seems reasonable. Yeah, it's in. I think, look, we all know made it 35 military 100 milliwatt without. That is some range, isn't it? It's fairly cheap as well, Express LRS. It's not crazy money either. Yeah, if you look at the price of Express LRS, like if we go in the let me just have a look in the UK at pricing. So if we just search for Express LRS, I just want to see what the overall pricing is in the UK. Micro TX, it's a lot cheaper, isn't it? You know what I mean? It really is very cheap. You're talking 24 quid for the micro receiver, and £10 on each one. So it really is cheap. Do you know what I mean? Express LRS is substantially cheaper. Overall, is free hardware makers were about 30 for modules. Yeah, it really is substantially cheaper. Okay, it's still 2.4. You need to make a video about it. Yeah, I need to. There's a lot of people have made some really good videos on these other systems. So there's a point where you've also got to sort of go, right, what am I going to add to the table on this? Is it worth me doing it? Because there's so much great content out there. Albert Kim does a lot on this stuff, as does JB and the others. There probably needs to be a good video now explaining all of this stuff. I do like this radio. Is it on the TBS website yet? I couldn't see it. I'm just looking on the TBS website right now. They should have this up on the front page. New radio coming soon. Have they? I'm just showing you on the TBS website. Where's the RC Link radios? Have they actually added it yet? Oh, they've put it up now. So the starter set with the Mambo, $189. Pre-order TBS Mambo. I'm just looking. Mambo controller on its own is $139. So $139 US. But to kit yourself out fully, if we're looking, so you're talking another $60-$70. Oh yeah, new product area. Good point. Probably the best place to look for it under new products. Yeah. I'm a bit torn now because I was going to order in a Tango 2. And, if we go into RC Link and radios, I was going to get myself a Tango 2 Pro. That was the original plan. But it's got Crossfire built in, so it's out the door ready to use. However, I do prefer a bigger radio. And they really have made this a difficult decision. They really have made it a strange decision for many of us who've been considering. Tango has some lovely gimbals. Yeah, that I have heard. I have heard that. It's not sure. Really not sure where to go. Really not. They've made it a difficult decision now because you can't. If they'd have made the new radio with Crossfire built in, it would have been a no-brainer, an absolute No brainer at all. It would have been bought. I'd have ordered it today. I would have done it. It would be ordered now, ready. But I don't know. The only problem is you can't even get bloody Tango 2s. I've been trying to get one for ages. You just can't get them. You just cannot get these radios at all at the moment. So can I find any? I'm trying to see if anyone in the UK has Tango 2s in stock. Last time I checked, no one did. No one had them at all. Sold out. Sold out. Everywhere is out of stock. Can't get the you just can't get this radio. You just can't get this radio. I do wonder actually, and this is entirely conjecture, if there is a different chipset in the new radio, the Mamba, that they're not using in the Tango 2, and it's not about, there is a silicon shortage, I did watch the interview with Trappy as well. Someone's asking about the T16S. What's wrong with it? Nothing. It's a good radio, but it doesn't feel a quality radio. It doesn't feel a high quality radio. I still have concerns. Like if I one sec. So of radios a minute. So my main radio is still my Taranis. Okay, so this is still my main overall radio that I use on a daily basis. Okay, I've had it years. It's got. I've still got. Oh, the Sony's gone off. It's run out of battery. I've killed the battery. I've still got the cellophane on the screen. I've managed to keep it on there all these years. I have dropped this radio. I have broke the buttons multiple times. Those buttons there aren't 100% anymore. Hasn't been flown for a little bit actually because I've been testing the other one. I've modified it with a different button on the top corner. This is a push-in one. That's, if I can show you that one there is bent. Look at the shape on that stick. That one's been dropped more than once. That one doesn't rotate. But it is a great radio. It just does. Oh, it's also flat, so that's going to be charged. It's a great radio. However, I fly pretty much anything that's got DJI on with this because it's a decent radio. It does what I need it to do. It's not perfect, but it's good enough. It does what I need FPV quads to do. It's just not good enough for planes. And to be honest, it's not terrible for planes. But I do have a self-centering. I tend to now keep the self-centering throttle on that one. I have adjusted it, but I think that. But no. So for FPV, I tend to use this all of the time now. The DJI one. It's got a great battery life. It does what I need to do. Yes, I broke it, but it still works. So that, and I'm doing some testing with this, and I'm starting to try this and fly with this. But as much as this is a good radio, right, I'm just not convinced on the longevity. I really am not. It's nice. It does a lot of nice things. It's too big. I'll be honest. It's too big. It's a lump of a thing. I don't want a radio this big. I don't need a radio this big. The Taranis is smaller. It's nice. It is, it's not quite as big a feeling radio overall. The DJI is a nice compact size, and I'm guessing the new TBS is about the same size as the DJI one. Yeah, it is good with the touch-to-speed support. There's no question about that. This new TBS one is probably about the same size as this. A lot smaller. Is it a lot smaller than the DJI one? Or the I haven't looked at the sizing. It looks small, but I do like the DJI radio. Just has a nice size to it. Okay, that's interesting. It does have a nice size to it, and I could go smaller again. I'd be happy, you know. I trust it more than my old jumper. I agree. The new Tranis is smaller than the old. The old Tranis is just a workhorse of a radio. It just really is a workhorse of a radio. This thing is just, it's flat, so he's going to have to be charged. I'm going to take the battery off as we speak. 2/3 Tranis 6. But you know, it's such a good radio. Such a good radio. It's done me so much. In fact, this one's had a few modifications internally. I put something else in this at one point with some stuff, but it's just a good radio. It's just a good radio. But I am tempted. That Mamba does look very, very nice. I think the frustration is why was Crossfire not built in? I think it would have been absolute. I think, you know, what was that price again? I was just looking, sorry. What was that price on the TBS? If I just go back. I'd have paid $40. I'd have been happy if it was just a bit more expensive and had the module built in. You know. Is the Mamba on its own? So the starter kit, $139. Put $30 on it and put the radio built in. It just would have been nice out the door. That would have been it. SkyDroid H16, Tommy. I was talking about them a little bit earlier. Not the greatest piece of kit in the world. It just means changing everything. If I invest in another radio system, did RF Designs ever implement S-Bus pass-through? Plain crazy. I'm not sure, because there's talk of it in all the documentation, but I've not tried yet. I've seen what you're saying, but I haven't tested it myself. I don't know if I'm 100% honest at this point in time. That is on the list of things for me to check. It really is on the list of things to check, that one. So, really, guys, that is it for this week. That, I think I've covered everything. That is where I'm at. It's going to be a busy few weeks, to say the least. There's a lot to do and a lot to talk about. There's a couple of videos. I'm going to do a proper video on this air unit repair regardless, just to finish that off, just so you guys know where we're at on it. There's a couple of test equipment videos coming out, which is the scopes and stuff like that. And then it's time to start getting some of these builds done, because I need to get them done. They're probably going to be a little bit lighter on a couple of pieces of content over the next couple of weeks, just while I start building through some of this stuff. I'm probably going to do a couple of unboxings, actually, for these frames and builds. I'm not going to do full build videos on the Diatone frame. I'll sort of give it an overview and then do a recorded build and then whack through it. And then on the Hexoon as well. But there's a lot to go over the next couple of weeks. There really is. Laura telemetry shits all over RFD 900. Laura with telemetry. Yeah, there's a lot of, you know, we have an abundance of different systems out there. There is so many different systems out there right now to play with for different applications. FPV, long-range FPV, Ardra camera drone builds, and all of them. And they've all got their unique features that work with one system or another. So it's an interesting time from a radio point of view. There's a lot of good coming. It's just we're lacking a little bit in video systems. You know, video is where the struggles are. There's been a bit of talk this week on RC groups around Sharkbite, and there's been, you know, there's some, you know, there's a hunger for good digital FPV systems right now, and we've got different systems. So you've got the fast end, which is FPV DJI, and SharkBite, which is the low latency, lower range, or decent to low range compact size. You've then got the mid-range FPV, which is the HureLink, which is long range up to 20 kilometers. You've got the H16s, not convinced on those devices. The MK15 type radios, again, another one like that. Much bigger latency, much longer latency. However, camera drone style systems. So there's a bit of a push at the moment. We've got SharkBite. We're still waiting to see what's happening there. There still isn't the high power module, although you've got the low power module still today, and you've got the single board version as well, which is nice. And it's an interesting time. And then there's all of this talk around who else, what's coming next. Is FrSky going to release a HD video system? There's talk of it. Orca, there's talk of Orca producing a HD video system. So, and then add on top of that OpenHD, which is now looking at some of its own hardware as well. 250 hertz packet rate. Yeah, I'm not convinced anyone. I cannot tell the difference on that. I can't really even tell the difference between DJI S-Bus Fast or HDL as it was originally called. I'm not, look, I'm not that style of pilot to really, could Boy Wonder and a couple of those guys do it, those super FPV pilots, when you look at how some of those guys fly, I'm betting they can feel it instantly. I really do. However, I'm not flying that style, I just compensate for whatever it is. Yeah, I'm with you, Ghost, as well. I'm there as well. It's for me. I'm not convinced there's a big difference. Nothing that I feel is impacting anything that I do. It's as simple as that. So, guys, I'd like to thank everyone for watching the stream. Everyone who's given us a like, thank you for that. I'd like to thank for the super chats as well, for the gentleman who has donated. Massively appreciated. I do appreciate everything you guys do. As I said, the next couple of videos are going to be sort of side related. Camera tripod, I know it's not thing. We'll be back next Sunday. Probably more lives in the next couple of weeks than actual content. I've got to get the FPV video done and then start doing some of these builds as well, basically. And that's the next, there's a lot here to do right now. There really is. Please stay safe where you are in the world. Thank you for spending some time with me, and I will speak to you guys again soon, and I'll sort out the stuttery for next week. Sorry about that. It was all a bit little bit too stuttery on our side, but we'll move back up to 50p, I think. That's what we'll have to do. Right, I'm finding the end button. Look after yourselves, guys. Stay safe.